What's up, sugaring community? This is Fast Freddy SDC, and today I'm going to talk about the dancer or sex worker who wants to be a sugar baby. So, like I said, when you're looking for sugar baby, let's say you go to a sugar baby website, there are different types of sugar babies, and they all kind of fall into certain categories. You'll find a lot of college girls, they don't have access to money, so they need help. You'll find single moms down on their luck. They need help too. Another persona is the dancer or sex worker, who are girls who are used to getting money from men, but they want to kind of take it to the next level. To me personally, this is not my favorite persona. I have not had the best experiences with dancers on the site who want to be sugar babies, and that's just, and I'm going to get into it, but me personally, when I'm looking for a sugar baby, I'm looking for a little bit more than something transactional. I want to have a little bit of friendship, connection. Girls that are usually dancers or sex workers that are trying to be sugar babies are very business oriented and transactional, and I'm going to get into why, and that just to me didn't work out for many different reasons. So to give you a little background about these girls, to me, from my experience, and I know there's going to be a lot of dancers that hear this video and are going to be like, nah, that's not what I was. That's not how I am. This is the reality. This is what I've run into a lot of dancers on the site. A lot of them have been hurt, and they've been they're very, I don't want to say harsh, but they're very strong women. Their compassion has been jaded, and they're here for a reason. Which is fine, but that's the thing. A lot of us sugar daddies are betas. We're on the site looking for girls to at least, be a little bit feminine and like us. These girls who are dancers, a lot of the times have been, and just like men have hurt, most girls have been abused in some way. These girls have actually went to the next level. And a lot of times, let's say they've been sexually abused, or they're really, really in tough positions where they have a lot of expenses and they can't find obviously a normal job to cover their expenses. So they've gone this far as to become dancers or sex workers. And in that case, what they're kind of doing is, a lot of the times they've taken what has been used to hurt them, taken that strength away from whoever that was hurting them, and now I'm using it against, basically for their benefit, and in a lot of ways to exploit men. So they run into assholes all the time. They run into dicks or guys that are beta, crying about their marriages and crying about their wives, and they're just annoyed by them, but they're in it just to crank these guys out and basically play a role and get money. They will bring that same energy to this relationship, and you gotta, if you're a sugar daddy, running into girls like this, you got to keep that in mind so you know what you're dealing with. So there are pros and cons to every situation, so I'm going to go through the pros. So one of the pros, first pro is, again, like I said, these girls, they're very straightforward. So in some ways that's very simple. There's not a lot of qualification. Bottom line is, they want to make sure you're not going to hurt them, number one. Number two, they want to make sure that you are going to be able to help them financially. That's the bottom line. If you pass those two tests, a lot of the times you don't have to have swag, you don't have to be good looking, you don't have to be anything like that. Some of the girls obviously want to enjoy who they're with, but in many cases, just because they're there for a very specific function, they're not going to be too picky. In many cases. Some cases there are exceptions, but in a lot of cases they're not going to be too picky as long as you fit those criteria. So that kind of makes things a little bit easier. Another positive, and I'm sure everyone, this is what they want to hear, is they're sexually open. Again, they're used to using sex to their advantage to exploit men. So they're cool with a lot of things. I'm not saying, again, that you can do whatever the fuck you want with these girls and you can disrespect them and hurt them and things like that. That's not what I'm saying. But in many cases, they're used to being sexual. They're used to the whole situation of you wanting something like that. So it's not gonna turn them off if you talk to them sexually or ask for anything sexual. And in a lot of cases, they'll be open to things like threesomes and group sex if that's your thing. Now, that sounds all good, I understand that, but there are cons. And like I said, the main con is they are used to using men for their money. They're used to dealing with weak men. If you come in there and showing vulnerability, they will exploit that. In some cases, women have stolen money, and not personally for me, literally stealing money, but I've heard of cases where girls have like literally just taken money out of guys' wallets. In one case, I was talking to a sugar baby that I was qualifying, but I found out she was a dancer, so that didn't happen. But while she was talking to me, she was on her way to basically bitch at her other sugar daddy because she said, I'm gonna fucking press up on him to get some money. Yesterday I bitched at him and he gave me $1,500. I'm gonna go and give it to him again and basically bitch at him to get more money. If that's your thing, some guys they're used to being powerful in their workplace. They want a girl to kind of dominate them. You're good then, but that's not my thing. So if that's not your thing, you got to be careful here. Another thing is another con to me is they're very transactional. I'm not looking for a prostitute or a hooker. Again, no offense to prostitutes or hookers or sex workers. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something a little more intimate. I want a girl that when we have sex is not just going to sit there and just lie down and take it. I want her to be intimate and be into it and enjoy herself, feel like I'm turning her on, etc. That sometimes is not the case with sex workers or dancers. Sometimes, again, if they are cool with you and they are attracted to you, that it could be fun. But in other times, it's sometimes very mechanical, and because they're used to it, they have like weird limits. They're like, okay, I'll do. I don't make out. A lot of times they don't make out because they don't want to be kissing a bunch of different people because they may be with multiple sugar daddies or things like that. But for some reason, they're okay with having sex with a guy as long as it's protected. Go figure, but that's how it is. So me personally, I'm not into that, but if you're into that, then that's fine. But that's a con for me, that they're not intimate and they're very transactional sometimes. Another thing is they could scam you. They have an abundance of weak ass guys just throwing money at them. They sometimes will tell you what they want to tell you. They will be flaky because usually they're dealing with a shitload of guys, and if you don't give them what they want, they'll just move on to the next person. So you got to keep that in mind. I have been scammed by a lot of sex workers in the beginning, or let's say dancers, not necessarily sex workers, but in the beginning, when I first was hanging out with them, we would have a sugar daddy, sugar baby arrangement. I was helping them with their bills. They were, they were in a relationship with me, and then that's a lot of the times. The second they get annoyed, they'll ask for money, and then they'll disappear. They'll ask for a lot of money. They'll have car problems or something. They'll make up some random shit. And in the beginning, I used to fall for that shit. So you got to be really careful when you're dealing with quote unquote dancers or girls in that industry. And again, I keep using the word dancer and sex worker synonymously, and they're not the same thing. But in this case, they may be. That's why I keep kind of using them interchangeably. But yeah, so that's kind of the situation with them. So my suggestion is keep it very transactional. Do not catch feelings. Have fun, but keep it at an arm's length. You got to treat it very transactionally. If they, change terms or anything like that, you got to be able to walk away. I'm not, again, and I want to be clear, I'm not saying you be an asshole or disrespect them, but it can be very antagonistic, this relationship. Again, everyone's come into it kind of seeing what they can get, trying to give as little as they can, almost like a business transaction, like capitalistic transaction. Capitalism is fine all the time, but you got to understand that, you are kind of getting what you pay for. So in this case, you may have a very difficult time. It may not feel like anything good because you guys are constantly negotiating or bartering or flaking or arguing, except when the actual your relationship or whatever you guys decide is going to be the exchange. That's when that's happening, it's good. But then the rest of the time you're just talking about terms and negotiating and dealing with a lot of drama and shit like that. So that might be something you're interested in. Me personally, I'm not, but that's just a little bit of an idea of what you're getting into when dealing with a sugar baby who's also a dancer and and possibly a sex worker. So if you're a dancer, let me know what you think about this video. Put your thoughts in the comments. If you're a sugar daddy and you've had any bad experiences with any dancers or sex workers, feel free to share. Otherwise, I will talk to you later. Thanks.